My husband cheated on me with 2 women. He wants to stay together because he has cancer. Should I stay? My partner told me when we first got together that he has cancer, and if his operation doesn't go well, it could be terminal. He's currently living with his mom while he's in recovery, so that it takes off pressure from me and caring for both him and our baby until he is well enough to move into our new home with us. Well, last week, we had an attempted break-in. I asked my husband, who is supposed to be at his mom's, to come over and change the locks, but he wouldn't. Then his mom told me he wasn't with her. I went to Facebook, and it took me less than an hour to find the first 2 women he was cheating on me with. One thing my paranoia just wouldn't let up about was his cancer and his treatments. I asked his mom about it, who told me he doesn't have cancer. She also informed me he was in rehab, not the hospital. Apparently, he suffered from addiction and was trying to recover for me and our baby. I never mentioned to him what I knew. I assumed it was the embarrassment of wanting to get clean without me knowing so he could be a good partner and dad. I was proud of him for getting that help that I never spoke about it. With his autoimmune disease, his mom explained how brutal it has been for him and that he did have chemo a few years back, so maybe that's why he's confused. Pregnancy brain is a real thing, or maybe I'm just too blindly in love. Emphasis on the blind.
Yeah.
Because I accepted this and never questioned it again. After discovering the first 2 women, I sent my partner a message telling him to let his girlfriend know I'm asking after her and not to bother coming home anymore. I've had the locks changed from the break-in so he can't get in. Double win. He panicked and started begging me to answer the phone and let him come see me so he could explain everything. I started to see everything through clear eyes for the first time and realized how long he had been gaslighting me for, and told him no. Realizing he couldn't get through to me and now aware I was trying to contact his girlfriend, he panicked and went to her instead. During that time, I found a photo she had shared of the 2 of them and shared it to my profile, petty, with the caption, "Can someone please ask this woman to contact me?" She instantly blocked me, but her sister got in touch with me instead. Apparently, the family has never trusted him and knew something was wrong. This affair is serious enough to have met the family. She says he has told her not to speak to me as I'm deranged stalker he slept with once years ago and has been hunting him down, trying to convince people my baby is his. I sent her a photo of the birth certificate, wow, and us in hospital together to show her sister before he can lie to her anymore. During this, I am also messaging another woman who is furious at what he has done and is helping me with all the information she is aware of. She tells me he broke her heart by cheating on her without even knowing he was cheating on me too. So far, I have the current timeline. Chemo in March, a 19-year-old rehab in April. So he met the girl in rehab. July, a woman of an appropriate age this time, but also cheating on her. August, now his 20-year-old girlfriend. I then find out his emergency cancer medication that he had to leave for in the middle of labor.
Crazy.
And there was 2 failed epidurals. OP was screaming in agony, begging doctors to help because I thought I was passing away, while the emergency team rushed in to place extra monitors on our baby in distress. But that was an actually huge turn on for him. So he needed to go sleep with a 20-year-old before making it back in time to kiss me before I went into emergency surgery. This was Sunday. It is now Saturday the following week. All right. I made a post on Facebook calling out my partner for his actions with photographs, medical notes, and evidence, and asking people to leave me alone on Tuesday after 48 hours of no sleep. Multiple calls to the crisis team and a barrage of harassment from his friends and family who want to sue me for character defamation. OP has the receipts. If this was a regular affair, I'd lick my wounds and move on. But I have now learned I have been leaving my daughter alone with a substance regular user who is claiming he doesn't know me or his daughters to others, but demanding custody rights to me. Tens of women have now come forward who have also dated him during our relationship with no idea of me or each other. This obviously is really upsetting. But what upsets me the most is that I began to notice a very worrying pattern. He has told every single one of these women that he has cancer and can't get them pregnant. I said my labor and delivery was difficult. I was induced due to an infection I had. My GP had told me I had an STI, and although I understood and took the treatment and was induced, my madly in love pregnancy brain never accepted it as an STI until I went back this week and checked my hospital discharge notes, and there in big, bold letters, sensitive partner STI. So they don't use protection, which led to an STI, which almost unalived me and his daughter in labor.
Yep.
And he wasn't even there to be with us because he was sleeping with a girl who also believes he has cancer. I decided to let everyone know that he, in fact, does not have cancer by using a screenshot of his mom's messages. All the women he has slept with to make sure they take a pregnancy and STI test, and all of his friends who he's been guilting for years over his condition, and also social services and the police for spicy related endangerment. Me and my daughter now have safeguarding in place for us from a local organization for women leaving abusive relationships. So I feel very safe to reveal the truth about him and make sure all of his partners are safe and informed. As he couldn't uphold his legal obligation of declaring an STI, I guess his postpartum girlfriend will do it for him. I have also had contact from many of his old friends, band members, and ex-partners who have all given me testimonies to use for the police and as backup for if his mother does, in fact, try to sue me. This man has been lying and manipulating women for over 9 years. So far, everyone is now aware of his lies, and I'm waiting for my in-person meeting with the police. I'm also preparing for legal battle. So it's come to light this week that his ex-partners have been reporting him for years to no avail.
Wow.
His mom is on the school board, and her best friend is his head teacher. I'm hoping with the added element of social services this time and an investigation into child endangerment for our daughter, they can't sweep it under the carpet any longer. We're escalating the situation. Where in the UK, his complaints have been escalated to LADO in the past, which is basically our version of what controls the school's judgment over any dangerous situations, but nothing has happened. One of his exes gave me all the dirty details of their report to push that they ignored her, and it's escalated to this. So at least OP's escalating, but it seems like nothing has happened in the past. And a commenter responds, feel like we need a full name and a link to his Facebook, or at the very least, to make sure he is up on Prick Advisor. OP responds, he deleted his Facebook after I made a post on here. He is the most convincing person you have ever met. For the first time, someone proved him wrong by posting medical evidence, and he couldn't take it.
Good.
I'm waiting on approval to join Prick Advisor UK. And are we dating the same man in Northeast? To warn all the other women, I couldn't find myself. Perfect. And commenter asks, what STI did he pass to you? Has your baby been tested and or treated? And OP responds, at the time, I refused further testing in denial and regret it so much. I was given a course of antibiotics, and because my symptoms went, they left it at that for me. All I know is from the STI being untreated for so long, I ended up with strep group B2, which is why I needed to be induced. So I was on an antibiotic trip when my waters were broken, so my baby would be safe. She's perfectly healthy and faced no issues, luckily.
Thank God.
I think I've been lucky, and whatever it was must have not turned into an STD because my medical documents only say partner STI. We also haven't slept together for a very long time now after my surgery, so I know I'm at least safe now. And a commenter responds, how does he manage his time? That's what I want to know! A full-time job which requires extra hour work, a baby, a girlfriend, a mother, many lovers? OP responds, he would disappear from time to time and switch his phone off a lot. Yikes. Not living together was a huge help for him. He would tell me he needed to set days and times, etc., as he can only work in routines for his recovery. Obviously, I can look back now and see that really he just needed to know which girl was where and when. I've been told by multiple people now that he will often just not turn up to work because he's on a bender or at a woman's house, and I was kept in the dark because his mom's best friend is the head teacher and would cover for him. Commenter says, he is a serial adulterer. He spreads STIs. He lies about having cancer. He's a primary school teacher and he's in a band. And OP responds, was in a band. I've just found out this week that he wasn't punted out in 2019 for having cancer like he told me, but punted out in 2018 when his abusive behavior towards women was exposed, and they cut all ties with him except one band member who didn't believe it and never mentioned anything about it to me or gave me the heads up. And commenter responds, is your boyfriend my ex? Because my ex was also a substance regular user who faked cancer and other health problems while abusing me physically, mentally, and spicy sleepily. And OP responds, if he lives in the UK and used to be in a feminist punk band, I'm so sorry for your experience and hope you've healed. Commenter says, OP, the Daily Mail will be all over this. They would. Says OP, I've shown my social worker what I've shared online so far, and no one has been named or can be identified on here. That's okay. And I've been extremely polite about the situation and only exposed myself on Facebook, so they're okay with me sharing that. But for the sake of not giving him any more ammo or information to use in his defense, I need to be careful until the investigations are over. I wouldn't want to mess up my case and have him teaching for another 6 years like the last time he was reported. Another commenter says, make it public. Make sure parents know and that the head of the school board has been protecting him. OP, sadly, I think parents are aware and not receiving help from the school in the situation. One woman he dated during the summer realized who he was when she went to drop her child off at school in September. She's been updating me to let me know that he wasn't seen in school for multiple days after my health visitors and social worker began the reports on Monday, but he was back in a half a day Friday. The man's back to work as normal. God. By the way, this story is multiple parts. Make sure to follow us on iHeart Podcast app or Apple Podcasts. Let's get back into the story because we have an update, John. My partner cheated on me with 2 women. He wants to stay together because he has cancer. Should I stay? We're getting into part 2 of this story.
Let's go.
Update the next day. I spoke to the police this morning. There is nothing they can do unless they find the substances on his person in the school, so nothing is stopping him from snorting a line before he starts work as long as he takes nothing else with him. They've employed the loophole that they can catch him behind the wheel, and if someone reported him driving on substances, they could catch him that way. They said they can confirm that multiple reports and investigations have begun before even my report, so they are unable to share much information with me, even though his case involves me, but they told me it is imperative I apply for Claire's Law and have helped me with the application. It can take up to 10 days for my in-person meeting to provide my documents, and then it can take several weeks for the information to be shared with me. Knowing what I do already, I feel sick that they have told me how important it is for me to make the application. I can't believe in a few weeks he is going to discuss me even further when I receive his police records. My only silver lining is that once I have the police reports on top of my medical records, he doesn't stand a chance in family court, and me and my girl will be free to restart our lives together. Also, another little note, I've been looking for family court advice in a mom support group and have been informed that luckily she's only 5 months old and any name changes can be made before 6 months with only one parent's consent. And the witnesses don't need to be his choice, so I will be removing his surname and his grand's name from her middle name for her to take my surname and not have any more ties to his family. You should also look into the Offenses Against the Person Act in 1861. If he knew he had an STI and spread it to you and others by telling you all not to use any kind of protection, that may be illegal. OP responds, my health visitor made the exact same point. She said she would look into it for me and make the report on my behalf as she has a legal obligation to report everything I said anyway. My worry is when speaking to the police today, they said without physical evidence, they can't really do much, even if multiple women come forward with the exact same claim. It's still hearsay and can't be pursued. I've checked all my past messages and can't find anything in writing from him that can be used. And a commenter said, I get lawyered really fast. I think there's a law against sharing private messages now, but I think you should be fine since the other women are consenting to their messages being used as evidence. That might be a loophole. Also, there's a Facebook group of women who post guys and their crimes, so maybe they know not to date these individuals. And since it's a closed group, they are careful who they let in, and he won't be able to get in there because they're really good at sniffing out a nosy dude and punting them. So you might want to add that in there so others don't fall for his tricks, which is kind of what we said before.
Yes.
OP responds, thank you for your concern and advice. I've shown my support worker what I've shared, and she said everything is above board. He's also already been named and shamed in a couple of groups by someone he was speaking to on a dating app after finding about me. So I've only shown my own information. I would never expose another woman, and no one has been named but me and my partner. And in all honesty, the post was more to prove that we had been in a relationship and had a child more than anything, as he was getting his friends and family to harass me, saying he didn't know me and gaslit me so much I just started to doubt the past year and a half myself. I only said what he had done to me and just mentioned that I was aware now that he had affairs. I've gone in much more detail here about things with the safety of being anonymous. I shared photos of us together, text messages of our boring lives, love you more, we need nappies, etc., and my medical records showing the STI. In the UK, it's only illegal to show other people's messages without consent, and the only ones I have are saved to be used in court with the women who have sent me them's consent, if it comes to it. As I am the one who had sent the messages, I've shared, and there is no defamation. My social worker thinks it'll be okay. But we got another juicy update that we're going to get into right now. I've managed to provide enough evidence of substance use and emotional blackmail to the police to have a domestic abuse case opened. Again, this guy was a substance user for a long time.
Open all the cases.
This is going straight past the school to the highest authority to keep him away from the children.
Yep.
This is huge news and gives me such relief in knowing my child and others will be safe. But I still have that awful feeling of guilt for him. Just 2 weeks ago, we called each other bride and groom. Think it's going to take for a while to grieve for the person I thought I knew while dealing with the one I know now. I hope this is the point he actually goes to rehab instead of lying about it and can find happiness and restart his life. I don't think I want to make more updates now. I am unbelievably grateful for the kind words and advice, but I originally just wrote this to get my emotions out of my head to help me sleep better. I know I used a clickbaity title, but I did not expect my post to blow up like this. Thank you all for helping and making my emotions feel validated in an absolutely insane situation. There is more to this story, by the way. Me and my little girl are going to be okay, and we got some edits. So this was written a week after it happened, so the police seemed quick, but in actual fact, I'm still waiting on updates from Claire's Law and the cases they mentioned during my interview. I'm 27 and my ex is 33. GBS isn't an STI, and I apologize if I didn't make that clear. It's a bacteria contracted from being intimate, apparently common in people with autoimmune disease, but only harmful during pregnancy. OP says, I never received an STI testing during pregnancy due to being over 25. My GP told me that my symptoms presented as an STI and recommended testing for you're a goner, but I turned down the offer thinking it wasn't possible. And she just told me I had GBS, so it must have been only that. It was my discharge papers from the hospital that had sensitive partner STI under the risk assessment section. I made a mistake. He did actually tell me he was in rehab. I forgot as I didn't have text messages about it. He emailed me for 1 month telling me he couldn't have his phone in rehab, and I completely forgot. Yes, he is still with his new girlfriend.
Wow.
She is sadly under the same spell I was. What is this man? She rang me off my mother-in-law's phone to demand a DNA test on my child, and they have all been blocked since. I start DA counseling this month, and I'm also on a waiting list for perinatal counseling too to help me process my trauma and get help as a single mother. I'm not doing very well at the moment, but my daughter is doing extremely well. He is still working at the school during all these investigations, and from what I've been told, I obviously don't go out drinking in town anymore to see for myself. He is substance dealing. He's drinking and using every weekend with his group of 20-year-old friends. I hope that answers most of the questions in the comments. For the people saying they have been through similar, oh God, I hope not. I am so unbelievably sorry. This is the worst pain I have experienced. I would never wish it on another soul. If you're struggling going through this or still struggling, please contact your country's crisis teams and go to your doctors for mental health advice. I'm not sure about other counties, but the UK is brilliant for confidential help and advice. You're never alone. Thank you for all your advice and help. And that's where this story ends.
I encouraged my wife to explore non-monogamy, and it ruined my marriage. Who would have thunk? So I, 30 male, am in an 8-year-long happy marriage with my 30 female beautiful wife. Nothing to complain about during all of those years. Neither of us wanted kids, both of us wanted cats, and we are passionate about traveling. We spent 2 years living in a motorhome through South America, plus backpacking every vacation to different countries. 33 so far. All things considered, we have a nearly perfect life. But I have to say, I never believed in monogamy. It was always clear to her. But as this has never been her belief, I've always been okay with it and never cheated nor asked her permission to get involved with anybody because I've always felt completely fulfilled in our relationships. Nevertheless, I always told her if she were willing to have something with any other person, it would be completely okay for me, even though I don't have that permission myself. The only thing I asked her would be to tell me that first. So in the last couple of months, she told me that she would also give me the permission to be with other people if I wanted to. As I said, I am fulfilled by her. I am actually completely devoted to her. She is my muse. Every day I wake up grateful for having her in my life. We met in college and I had never been in love before her. And during all the 12 years since we've known each other, I have never wanted anyone else, so I didn't look for anyone to hook up with. But one night a month ago, she didn't come home from work and didn't tell me anything. Of course, I was worried and texted her. Hours later, around 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, she told me she was drinking with her colleagues, which is pretty regular, but she always tells me in advance. Not this time. So in the morning, I go to work and she still hasn't come home yet, and we only met after I returned home. Of course, I'm mad, but I patiently wait for her to tell me how her night bar hopping was and how fun it was. She then proceeds to tell me she hooked up with one of her male coworkers, and they slept in the same bed. No spicy sleeping. Opie says, I'm happy for her. She's finally free. Now, at the same time, I'm still pretty mad because I was not informed first. She then explains, nobody intended it to happen. This was simply just a wasted decision. I understand, that's plausible, but I'm still uncomfortable. I try to kiss her, and she asked me not to because she needs to sleep for a while since she'll be working in a couple of hours. That's fair. I have to shower and go to work too. Well, a few days passed, and a friend of hers texted me. It was nothing spicy, but she comments on one of my Instagram posts complimenting my body. We've been in the same group of friends for over a decade, and complimenting is rather acceptable in the group dynamics. But the last time we met, I felt a different look, and it was stuck in my head. I even commented on it with my wife, and we laughed about it. I guess I should start a conversation and see where it leads, I think.
You had a perfect relationship and you're messing it up.
My suspicions were not wrong. She wanted to have an affair with me. Willoughby says, I also kissed one girl the other night. I told my wife about it, and she surprisingly got mad. She said it seemed like I was acting like I wanted to get back at her or wanted to equalize, that I shouldn't do something like that to a friend of hers, and it would ruin her circle of friends. At this point, I'm confused. So I start to think about it. She's pretty distant these days, and I'm about to go to work for some time abroad, and I'm not going to see her for a long time. And she's been talking so passionately about her work and her colleagues or coworkers, especially the one she hooked up with. Also, the male coworker was acting really strange towards me last time I happened to encounter her at work. She's also acting like she didn't want me to be around her in her work environment anymore. I get really confused because part of my job involves being in her workplace for like an hour or two at least once a week. Also, I was the one who talked them into employing her. I've known those guys longer than she has. Then I made the huge mistake and looked to her phone. The conversation with this guy is getting really intimate. They even jokingly send nudie pics. It's actually their feet. They're really close. And when I confront her, I am aware that I shouldn't have looked through her phone, but I need to say how hurt I am, how it was treason, since she wasn't honest with me from the beginning, and how she was effortlessly trying to push me away from her life, since we are just splitting the household bills at this point. We're not having spicy sleep anymore, not even kissing anymore. So I then proceed to tell her with many, many tears that I have been afraid of the end for like a really long time, and it would be devastatingly dreadful to me if it happened, but I'm ready to accept it since she has been seeing that same coworker. And to me, the way that it happened felt like cheating, and I even felt like I still loved her, but wasn't in love anymore. She cries a lot and asks me to forgive her. She recognizes that everything I said is true and that she wasn't even thinking during this whole time, and she didn't want to lose what we have. I then look at her and ask if she loves me or our relationship, and she broke down into tears and says she loves both and wants to keep them. We traveled for the holidays, and everything started to just working again. Everything's getting back to normal. Nothing will go wrong. I rapidly fell in love with her one more time, and things were great. Except for now, I didn't want to spend all of these months away from her. It was a great work opportunity, but it's in another country. Remember his work trip that was coming up. Even the internet could not be enough. I asked her to stay, but she didn't want to. And even then, time after time, she encouraged me to stay and pursue this dream of mine. But deep down in my heart, all I wanted was for her to ask me to stay with her. So now we've been living separately for 2 weeks.
She's got to do something quick.
And tonight, she had spicy sleep with a male colleague for the first time. What is odd about it is that when we FaceTimed this morning, she was telling me how her night out was and how much fun she had, but she just told me that they went to a place to sleep. She only confirmed that they had spicy sleep because I asked her if she wore protection. Otherwise, she would have told me that they only slept in the same room. When she left for work, she texted me saying that she'd go have a drink by herself, alone. I responded for her to please let me know when she arrives home, but she never texted me again. I even confronted her about it in the morning, and she apologetically said that her phone was in her purse and she didn't even take it out during the whole night. Also, she was really planning on drinking alone, but wouldn't you know it, her lover just showed up after she asked for the bar address. But then she told me again the spicy sleep, it wasn't planned. And that's why she didn't let me know. By the way, if you want more of that, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcast app, and search OK Storytime. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost at the end of the saga. So the problem is that she's seen my text at some point during the night and chose not to say anything. I feel like she's feeling guilty about having a lover, even though I stated many times that I find that normal. We only owe each other the truth and full trust. She broke my trust from the beginning. Is that why I feel so bad about this whole situation? Could it be that I'm just jealous and witching about this whole situation? Am I envious because she's having a really good time and I'm in a whole different country alone and miserable, not meeting people, and I still haven't gotten any payments from her?
My brother, 18, has been poisoning my girlfriend, 24, for the past 3 years. She has always been allergic to lactose, very severely to the point where if she had any traces in her food, she would basically shit herself on the spot ever since she was a kid. My brother and I have always been on good terms and always hang out together until 3 years ago when I met my girlfriend. He started getting more distant and mean towards me, talking about how she's ruining our broship and taking me away from our family and him. I told him he was crazy and didn't think too much of it until recently. Going back to 3 years ago when I introduced Katie to my parents, he was livid. I moved out about 6 months later because I was tired of his constant bitching about her coming over to sleep and hang out. Ever since then, we've had family dinners at my parents' every month on Sundays. My family is Italian, so we eat a lot of pasta and sauce. My parents have always made 2 separate meals ever since they met her. One with no milk, lactose-free, for Katie, and one for the rest of us. She never had issues unless there was an accidental cross-contamination, which happened every so often. The problem was, every month, at those dinners, she was getting sick to the point of rushing to the bathroom and having excruciating diarrhea for an hour with severe cramps. Every single time. At one point, I started refusing to go, and my parents kept insisting that I give it another try. It was fine for a few months, and then it started yet again. This goes on and off for 2.5 years. I got really mad last week and got up in the middle of dinner and said to my parents, something is up and someone is messing with Katie's food. My parents go quiet and ask me why I would say that. My brother turned rather pale and stopped smiling. I knew it was him. I confronted him and he started crying, saying he felt like he had to get payback at her for stealing away his big brother, that it wasn't fair. He said he was adding milk to the batch made for her and he had no regrets. I was absolutely livid. Katie was as well. She excused herself and asked me to drive her back to our place. It's been 3 months and she's cut contact with my parents. Katie refuses to talk to them anymore because they should have had my brother in check and given him the worst punishment. He literally got a talk, a small behind the head, and that was it. And said she can't believe I didn't stop talking to them as well. My parents, on the other hand, are mad that we let this little incident break up our relationships. My girlfriend says, if I keep contacting them and insisting she forgives my brother, she's going to leave me. I love this girl to death. We've got plans to buy a house eventually and have kids. On the other hand, I love my parents too, but I can't have both anymore. What should I do?
I feel sorry for him because he is stuck in the middle. He's honestly really and truly stuck between love of his life or his love and his parents. However, what is it with these parents that excuse like evil and nonsense behaviour? Like their son is literally poisoning someone.
Yeah.
That's flipping crazy. Like, that's not good enough just to have a small word and it's not that serious. It actually is. Like, this is about her health.